Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Colleagues, I come before you today in support of Senate Bill 554B due to my utmost concern for the health and safety of Oregonians, especially our kids and those facing a mental health crisis. Unsecured firearms are a significant contributor to firearm-related deaths in Oregon, including suicide. Our nation is facing a health crisis that has been growing for years. Oregon is one of the states hit hardest by suicide deaths, ranking 9th highest adjusted suicide rates in our country. Evidence shows that by putting barriers in place to attempting suicide, it saves lives. We also know that despite women attempting to commit suicide nearly 3 times as often as men, women account for around 80% of the suicide deaths. The primary difference is how they attempt to end their lives. While women are more likely to try and use non-violent means, men reach for guns. If the person uses a firearm to take their own life, they have about a 5% chance of survival. Senate Bill 554B will require the same practices that are even shared on the NRA website for safe firearm handling. But let me be clear, Eddie Eagle isn't working. The changes we made to the bill in 2020 made sure that we kept rural Oregonians in mind for safe access and still save lives. The bill is about protecting the 3-year-old that found a loaded gun in their family car and shot herself and died last week. Or 2 weeks ago when the 9-year-old found the loaded gun in the car and unintentionally shot and killed his 11-year-old brother, all while mom had to run into the store to shop. Gun violence is real. And while we can find story after story of examples, and these examples are 100% preventable. When young Dakota, who at the age of 11 took his life using an unsecured firearm, his instant decision was filled with pain, sadness, and sent a ripple effect across the small rural town of North Plains in my district. Parents hugged their kids longer that day, they found out. Teachers consoled broken kids that could not comprehend his decision. This isn't an urban issue. It isn't a rural issue. This isn't an issue that only impacts those that are experiencing poverty or those that are rich. Suicide by firearm is happening across Oregon, and it doesn't discriminate. Every Oregonian should want these protective barriers. Let me be clear. Schools are for learning. Schools are for discovery. Schools should be a place of safety, whether you're a student at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Sandy Hook Elementary, or any other school across the U.S. All students deserve to thrive at school. My friend and constituent, Hillary Ulig, told me terrifying stories that she experienced as a mom of Liberty High School students in my district. One where there was a lockdown during lunchtime where her daughter was a freshman and she didn't know if she should duck into the nearest classroom or go to her next class so she wasn't marked tardy. A staff member told her to go to the next class, but the door was locked. And when she got there, it was her and an exchange student standing in a hallway exposed until they convinced a substitute teacher to open the classroom door and let them in. They panicked. They thought it was an active shooter. But it was just a lockdown. You know, just a lockdown. Like that should be okay for our kids. Another was when Hillary got a random text in the middle of the day saying, "I love you, Mom, just in case." And then found out that the school was in lockdown because of a threat of a gun in a backpack, which later turned out to be false. Hillary waited and worried. She hadn't heard from her other kiddo at that same school. That was the day when the police showed up with giant assault rifles and kids shared pictures on social media. Schools are not for guns, and yet here we are, forcing our students and our teachers to endure the fear of yet another school shooting. Approximately 75% of the guns that are involved in school shootings are from unsecured storage. One thing our students and educators did not have to endure during comprehensive distance learning, active shooter drills.
Excuse me, Representative McLean yields her time. Please continue.
Thank you, Rep. McLean. When I was a kid at Gales Creek Elementary School, we crawled under our desks for earthquake drills, not practicing dodging bullets. In my 75 town halls since 2017, common sense gun safety is a #1 issue that my constituents want me to act on. So I rise today in support of Senate Bill 554 as their representative that has been working on these issues since I was elected. Nicole Vargas and I have been working on the safe storage policy for 2 years. I rise in support of Senate Bill 554 as a mom of 2 teachers and a grandma. My hope is that when my grandson is in school in the future, he'll practice earthquake drills. I rise in support of Senate Bill 554 as the former school board member. Schools are for education. We have failed our children the more we normalize run, hide, and fight drills, and lack the policy to offer them more protection against firearms in our classrooms. I rise as a survivor growing up in a home where domestic violence happened. Domestic violence is asserting power and control over another human being in the most damaging way. When a gun is present during a domestic violence incident, a woman is 5 times more likely to be killed by her abuser, not walk away. I rise in support as a colleague and friend working side by side with my sister representatives to bring this bill to the floor today. We understand what's at stake, and together we bring this forward to save lives. I rise in support of Senate Bill 554 as a human being. We all have the right to live happy, full lives. Everyone has the right to be safe from gun violence. I rise in support of Senate Bill 554 because enough is enough. Colleagues, I urge an aye vote. It is not our time to run or to hide, but it is our time to fight for our kids and those that are experiencing mental health crisis. Thank you.